Welcome to another episode of Sorry It's Discontinued, a podcast about the world of retail and the people who keep it going. And I'm Hilary, your host. Today, I am joined by Martin Vane. I am so excited. I cannot wait for you to hear his story. A Texas-based makeup artist whose passion for beauty started at a very young age. Some of his earliest memories are watching his mom get ready, seeing how makeup could transform someone and bring out a sense of confidence and self-expression. As he got older, that curiosity quickly turned into artistry. From learning about drag makeup to immersing himself in beauty videos, during the early days of YouTube, Martin was constantly studying and experimenting with makeup long before it became his career. And over the years, that passion led him into the beauty industry, where he's worked with retailers like Ulta, Sephora, and Nordstrom, just to name a few, and with iconic brands like NARS, Natasha Denona, Charlotte Tilbury, and many more. Along the way, he's worn so many hats, such as makeup artist, trainer, educator, account executive, helping to inspire both clients and beauty professionals like myself throughout his career. Today, we are sitting down to talk about where that passion began, the journey that followed, which is incredible, and how you keep your artistry alive in an industry that can sometimes kick your ass, you know? So have a seat, hit follow or subscribe, and join us. Sorry. It's discontinued. Well, welcome to another episode of Sorry It's Discontinued. And I'm so excited because I am sitting with my friend and colleague today, Martin Vane. Oh, I just am so thankful you are here on my show. Thank you for being here, Martin.
No, thank you for having me, Hillary. And it's, to be a part of it's been discontinued it's exciting. Like I was telling you earlier, it's like I've never seen a podcast like this or heard one before like this. So for me, it's just like, oh, this is great because you're actually talking to people in the industry versus like influencers and other people. So for me, as you're talking to the original influencers, the people on the ground. So this makes me so happy.
Absolutely. So well said, because it's true. A lot of podcasts or even people talking to beauty, entrepreneurs and so on, they have built a business and it's about the business or about the marketing. But hearing stories really to inspire people who are in our industry right now, because we all need it. And just to remember why we got in the first place, because it gets so busy with thinking about goals and numbers and time clocks and, all of the not so fun stuff. So I am just excited to sit with you today and really
Mhm.
hear your story because you are somebody I have admired and I've seen firsthand the influence you have, not only on customers, but your colleagues and your teams, because you're an incredible leader. So
Thank you.
you really are. And,
Oh,
and I worked at Saks and you would come in for Charlotte and you would help lead the team. You helped open the store at the
Mhm.
Saks Houston store for Charlotte team, and just watching you host master classes and your product knowledge. I mean, I could keep going, but what that does, especially for all of us who work in stores and behind the counter, and it inspires because then you see someone who's so passionate about what they do. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's why I do this. I love, the lipstick and the looks and so on. I just am so thankful. And I want to really hear from you. One of my
Uh-huh.
favorite things to ask people, on the show or just talking at work is really what brought you into this industry when you were a kid or when you were younger? When was it, or what was it that just it ignited your passion for beauty or fragrance or fashion? Or was it a person, or, that kind of origin passion story?
Yeah. So for me, it starts with every little gay boy, our mother. Our mother is genuinely the person who we watch get ready in the morning. And for me, it was the most fondest memory. And I still remember to this day was as a little boy, I couldn't have been more than like 4 or 5 years old. I would watch my mother get ready in the morning and just the transformation and just saw how the power of makeup can transform somebody in just seconds to
Yeah.
being somebody confident and just was mesmerizing to me. Because as a little kid, I just remembered like, I remember the specific one morning was I was supposed to be watching Sesame Street, but it wasn't on yet. And it was like, I was 4 or 5 years old. And my mom had me wait until the 5 o'clock news was over, and she would sit me down next to her and she would hand me her makeup bag. And like a little curious kid, I would go through it, just kind of see what was in there. So I knew what a lot of things were before I even learned what like numbers were and things like that. I kind of knew what lipstick, like mascara. I knew all this stuff. So for me,
The
I
really
just
important
remember
stuff.
the important stuff. Yes. And it's so funny because as I got older, my mom always told me, she's like, you can't remember anything from school, but like when it comes to this type of stuff, you hold on to it and you literally can recite a whole like ingredient list and these tips and tricks. For some reason in school, you just were never able to. And again, it's selective hearing and selective like learning. So for me, it was like, okay, I always want to
Absolutely.
learn the fun stuff. But yeah, I just remember that one time as a little kid, just watching my mom get ready. And my mother was an iconic woman. She's also the reason I got into fragrances too, because even for us, like the boys, because she had the boys and we had two girls, but with the boys, my brothers, we all were
So
kind of
you had how many brothers?
so with my dad and my mom, there's three boys. And then my mom's previous marriage was two girls. So they were older. And of course, it's huge generation gaps. So because like my sisters were in the 70s, my brothers were in the 80s, and then I'm the 90s. So like it's basically like you had 20-year grade age gap between my sisters, and then like a 12 to like 13 age gap with my brothers. So I was kind of an only child because by the time I was a little bit older, they were already graduated, they already left for school and everything. And I was just like, by myself at home. So like
Yeah.
I was, yeah. So for me, it's just like I was a very kind of artistic kid. My mom always kind of felt like I was very artsy. My brother is also the exact same way, and we're the two youngest. So like we're very artsy. We're also like creative. So like I remember growing up, art was always something I loved to do, painting and drawing. I just got back into painting not too long ago,
Good for
but
you.
yes, and that was
Good
something that
for you.
kind of made me want to get in. I think makeup. The reason I went into makeup was because art wasn't going a certain way.
You were about to say you had a beautiful experience with your
It's
mom
fragrance, yes.
that
So
was with
fragrance.
fragrance.
Yeah, so my mother, again, iconic woman, and I still remember this, her signature fragrance. For all the Estee Lauder baddies out here, you probably know exactly what these are. So my mother loved, it was Estee Lauder Youth Dew, but she would fragrance layer. So before fragrance layer was a thing, she was already doing it. Again, she's iconic. So she was
Oh,
doing
very.
the bath oil as like her all over body, and then she would spray Cellbound. And it was just
No.
this Spellbound by Estee Lauder. It was another one that just it was a legendary combo, and it was just this ambery, kind of musky, very like patchouli based fragrance. I just like I remember as a kid, I would just hug her, and it would just comfort me. So
Yeah.
when we got a little older, she would buy us fragrance. So it was kind of like a rite of passage for us. So we
Mhm.
all got our own fragrances. For the longest, she would buy me Hugo Boss. I think it was Adventurer or Explorer. And she was like, okay, now you're 8. Let's get you your own fragrance. So I just remember we went to Ulta, and I just remember my mom went straight to the fragrances, and this bottle caught my eye, and it was just beautiful. I always kind of say it reminds me of the story of Eve and the tree of knowledge when she kind of walked towards it, because it was actually an apple. And it was not everybody kind of thought when they first hear the story, like, oh, it's DKY. I'm like, no, it's even older than that. It's actually Lolita Limpica. So
Wait,
I don't know
say
if
that
you're
again?
Lolita Limpica. It's an oldie. It's like probably like if you're a 90s kid, that was one of the very first kind of like gourmand fragrances at the time. It actually was the only one that ever incorporated anise in their fragrance. It had this very kind of licorice smell, and it smelled so good. And I just remember going towards the display unit,
Like,
grabbing it off its
ah.
perch and spraying it. And that was like the first time I smelled something that was just like, oh my God, I want this. And I remember I took the little tester and ran to my mom's like, Mom, I want this. And she's like, because she smelled it, she was like, is it for girls? I'm like, but oh, like, I really want this.
But I
And
love
she was,
it,
then I
mom.
love it. So I ended up putting in her purse. I got like a couple more and I sprayed them and just put in her purse. And I ended up leaving, but she ended up getting me, I still have it actually. It was I actually rebought it because I have this nostalgic thing with myself. She actually got me Givenchy pie. So that was my fragrance she bought me. So that was kind of like the start for me for makeup and fragrance and me actually getting into the industry. Lo and
Yeah.
behold, 10 years into the future, I leave my first job. I was working at Ross Dress for Less,
Okay.
because
Love
it
some
was by
Ross.
the it
Okay.
was by the house. It was by the house. I was oh god, I did everything. I was a cashier, fitting room. What else did I do? I did like stock and like the truck.
Yeah.
And then my last
Stock
job
and
was LP.
merchandising.
Yeah. And then LP was my very last position with
Wow,
a
you
job.
were LP at Ross?
Yeah.
Dang, I bet you got some stories.
Oh, yes. One specifically where this lady tried to run me over with her car. We tried to chase her down. Oh, there's more. There's way more.
Okay, you'll have to come
Little
back
did
and we'll
I
have to get
know,
into that.
yes. So little by that, 10 years later, I get a job, and lo and behold, it's at Ulta Beauty. So Ulta hires me as a seasonal person for like LP slash fragrances. Since I loved fragrances, I used to sell them at Ross all the time. And I was like, okay, I loved fragrance. So the thing about that, I loved it. It was great, but I would always get in trouble because I would wander off so much into the prestige aisle. Because like every millennial like kid growing up in the 90s, 2000s, YouTube was kind of our first entry into makeup. And that's kind of where
Yeah.
like I really got into it because back then I was in high school. I was like a scene kid. So I used to have like that, long the bang that was like here now. But I had like that crazy hair, raccoon
I
tails,
had that, but
Yeah.
I graduated in '94, so I'm a little bit
Oh.
older than you. But at one point, I had shaved my head on the
Mhm.
side, and I had a skater cut, even though I was not a
Mhm.
skater, I was a poser. And then it drove my
Love it.
parents crazy because 'cause I'd always flip my bangs out of
Yeah.
my eyes. I couldn't see shit, but
That was me. That was me. That was me with that one bang, and I was like, kinda and then I got older, and then I had the Rihanna cut where it was like a short, like, long here, then short everywhere else. So I was iconically known for that little
I
bang for
bet
many,
that
many
looks so good.
years. But that's kinda where my journey started. I started watching YouTube, and I started falling in love. I think at the time I was watching like X Sparkage, Lude, Encore Makeup, or just a few, and then also Marlena Stubbs, who was a makeup geek at the time. So these were just individuals who really inspired me. And I just remember as a kid, I was just like, just watching these videos, absorbing all this information. And little did I know that this would take me further into my career. So
Absolutely.
With Ulta, it was just kind of like when they asked, I was like, "What? Why do you think you should go to Prestige?" And I was like, "I'm really good at makeup. If you just give me a chance, I promise you, I won't let you down." And there was this guy that was working at the time, and he was a part of Prestige, and he was leaving to go to Mac at the mall in Humble, Texas. I had very humble beginnings. I grew up around like in North Side, but we would travel to Humble for the malls and everything. So
Yeah.
like me going to Humble every single day was kind of the routine, but he
How
was
long was
going
the
to
drive? Was it a lot?
like 20 to 30 minutes. It wasn't very long. My dad would drive me every day because I didn't know how to drive yet. I was kind of like scared. And then like I think after I turned 19, did I start learning how to drive and I was doing a lot
Yeah.
more. It
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just like those were like the key memories. And I started very young. And before that, right in the transition between me working for Ulta and me working for Ross, I also dated a makeup artist who was a lot older. Just thinking about it, I was like, "That's kinda really bad." He was like 26. He was 26, his name was Manuel, and he was a makeup artist, and he also was a drag queen. So he did like two things. And for me, it was magic because it was just, oh my God.
Yeah. But it
I
was
just remember
inspiring, opened
it
up
was
a whole
inspiring.
other world.
Yes. And this is kind of where like my story goes into like working for NARS because the first book he ever gave me or gave me something, a present, was actually Francois NARS' Make Up Your Mind. And that book had such an impact on me because this was kind of like a gateway into like makeup and like seeing editorial stuff. And I just being a part of the industry, there's always this craving that I want to be a part of this. I just remember my first gigs of me doing makeup was actually at a strip club. I was working with him. He was like a dead mother and I was like his little assistant. So like I had seen some things, but I hadn't seen everything. So like I would sit there, he would do the
Well, okay, wait,
complexion.
wait. So
Yes.
when you were working at Ulta, was this the same time or
It
before
was
you were doing
right in there, like right in
right,
that area.
were
Like
you
it was
doing
like
both? Like
I
an
was
artist
changing both.
at night and
Yes.
then an artist during the day?
Yes. Yes. That's literally what was going on.
Dang. So you were literally, like, practicing and
Yeah.
learning and absorbing all of this amazing artistry information because I mean, that just even doing drag makeup and the techniques and the contouring and for the lighting and the stage, it's such a young age to learn that. I mean, that would easily elevate your skills, but also being a part of all of that. So, were people at Ulta supportive of you and your creativity? Did you feel like you had freedom at that time to use what you would learn at the club to kind of
Mhm.
play and explore or, do makeup for your colleagues and customers?
Yeah, so there was a yes and no to that answer. I just remember,
Okay.
like, back then, this was the era of, like, bare minerals and, like, pure minerals. The
Oh,
battle of the
yeah.
mineral. Yeah, battle of the minerals. So, like, nobody really, like, wanted a full cake face. Everybody was, like, all about mineral, they wanted that
Yeah,
mineral
like
makeup, and
nudes and
yes,
natural Bobby Brown or what have
exactly.
you.
And this is
Yeah.
also the time where, like, Urban Decay had just started getting popular due to, like, the Naked palette. Too
Mm,
Faced was still, like, in its, like, junior phase before you started seeing, I don't know, Better Than Sex and things like that. So this is, like, when they
yeah.
were still young. So me also kind of growing with the brands too as they got bigger was kinda something cool too. But I would say back then, I definitely was inspired by some of the people that I got to meet was vendors actually, kind of really what inspired me. So, like, some of them I remember was Sylvia Joe, who was the Urban Decay account executive and artist for Urban. And I remember she would tell us about how she would do Beyonce's makeup and what she would use. Like you need this all nighter liner and zero to do this
Yeah.
and the eyeshadows. And then Steven Sanchez, who at the time was working for Smashbox, and how he would do the news. And then a few other people, notable mention was my friend Tyler, who was working for Studio Gear, which I did not know back in the day. That was like kind of the originator of Mac. They were selling at Ulta, so, like, they were the originators of, like, the brushes and, like, how Mac all started, so for me, it was just like, "Oh, it's so cool." So just having all this, like, stuff in front of me was always so fun and just absorbing, and then, like, my
Yes.
colleague.
I mean,
Yeah,
you were just getting it from all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah,
You were in definitely the right time at the
yeah. And I always kind
right
of felt like that, like, makeup, when I started in the industry, I kind of felt like it was when makeup was at its peak or getting to its peak, because this is
Yeah.
where you then go into the influencers, and then you go into the brand. Like, I was starting out perfect time when Instagram was starting to get popular, things like that. So this was kind of
Yeah.
like my entryway. And I've actually had some encounters with a couple of influencers at the time, like Instagrammers. I think before I had deleted my account, that was due to an ex, which I regret so much because I had like 1,000 followers on there. And at the time, that was like a huge thing. I was like, oh my God, you have 1,000. Like, you're like up there. Honestly, I would say like I'm so grateful that I started off at a young age, like just a little
Yeah.
baby, and then going into getting older and then like experiencing things. And then right as soon as I got to high school, I went straight into it. And it's kind of funny because I didn't really know what I was gonna do because the artistry route was kind of like in the sense of like me being an artist, that was kind of like I really wanted to do. But,
Yeah.
having parents that were like, let's be real, Martin, for Hispanics, it's not really something that you would get money from.
Yeah,
It's
how
not
are you gonna
exactly. How
have,
are you going to make a
be able
living
to
off
create
of
a
it?
living for yourself and support
Hmm.
yourself? And as all
Exactly.
parents, they want you to really go in a path that
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
gonna be an income.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they were very supportive, or as
Yeah.
supportive as they could be without,
Yeah.
being afraid of you not making enough, but really
Yes.
wanting you to pursue your passions, especially your
Hmm.
mom, you
Yeah.
know, really supporting you at such a young age with
Hmm.
the makeup and, those moments with
Fragrance.
her makeup bag and the fragrance and going into a store with her. I mean, to have that support and love from this iconic woman, so going from that and then as you're getting older, so it did seem like from what you're telling me, your path just kind of naturally,
Hmm.
like it felt like, or it seemed like the universe was just like really putting you in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it felt like that too, because for the longest time, I think even with my name that I have now, Martin Vane, which is my alias, that was my scene kid name that I took with me into this industry. And I was just like, vanity. It's like I guess this is where I'm gonna go. It's just like this is the scene kid name I picked, and we're just gonna go with it. And yeah, and for as long as
I
I know,
love
people have
it.
always known me for Martin Vane. They're like, "Oh, you're Martin Vane." I'm like, "Yes." No one ever knows me by my real legal name. Very few do, and then when they do, they're like, "Oh my god, isn't your last name Vane?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "Yes, it is." And I was
Yes,
supposed
it
to
is.
legally change it, but I never got to do it. And I was like, "Damn, I should have. I should still do it."
No, I love it. I love it. So, all right. So we are at Ulta and you're
Yes.
learning all of these things and you're
Hmm.
starting to kind of be immersed in new
Hmm.
brands and the
Hmm.
influencers and so on. So where did you kind of like that path and that journey? Was the next step NARS? Is that
No,
how
so
it's kind of fluid?
it was kind of like, I would say it's kind of an evolutionary stage because you start off at Ulta, where but like that's kind of the good start. And then your
Yeah.
next step is Sephora. So my next step was that. So I remember
Okay.
I was only at Ulta for like a small, like maybe a year, and then left there. And then my sister had connections with stage stores, which is Palais Royals and things like that. So she got me a job at Palais Royals, where I was going to be I think it was like a counter manager or like a counter person for Clinique. Now, I had already used Clinique because I was a kid. I would use Clinique too because that was kind of my compact that I would use in high school. So I kind of liked
Yeah.
Clinique. So I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
I got my job at that store, and my brands, I was over fragrances, and then I had Elizabeth Arden, and then I had Fashion
Oh.
Fair. So
Oh, fashion fair.
good old Fashion Fair, and that was
Yes.
kind of where like I really honestly that took another step in elevation because that is something that I didn't get to work a lot with at Humble was, I mostly worked with a lot of, Caucasian women and, Hispanic women, but very few Black women came in. But at the time,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of makeup that was specifically
There
catered
wasn't, no,
towards, yeah,
makeup
at the time, yeah, none,
for,
non-existent.
yes, for women of color,
I
and
learned.
there's not a lot of training, and they wouldn't talk about it.
Hmm.
I know when I worked at Dillard's, there was the business manager for Fashion Fair, her name was
Hmm.
Christine. A
Hmm.
really just she's an awesome lady, but when she wasn't working, well, actually, when she was working, I'd watch and I'd try to learn, but when she wasn't working, I was always the closing shift, and I would go to
Oh,
the counter, and it would be like, "Really? Like, how you're gonna match me?"
yeah, yeah,
But
and
you
that's
really have to get in there, and they had to trust me, but I love that brand,
yeah.
and so what a great experience for you to be able to be well
Throw myself
versed in
in
such
there.
foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the time too, I was that little brat. I'm not gonna lie, I was a brat back then. I thought I knew everything, and I was just like, "Oh, I know how to do makeup," but I really didn't. I got humbled very quickly. So I remember it was kind of like orientation slash like seasonal school for us for a fashion fair, and I remember the executive Jill took me. We went to the hotel and we did this whole thing for fashion fair, and of course, at the time, I thought I was super cute. I was wearing my little blazer, a little like cardigan. I looked really cute, had my little Rihanna haircut. I looked adorable. So when I sat down, a lot of people thought like, "Oh, he's cute. He must be Jill's assistant or something." And then when she introduced me, it was this funny moment. Okay, everybody, the newest member of our team for Fashion Fair. This is Martin. He works at the Maryland location in Palais Royals. And then I remember this one lady, she was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like, she looked like she worked at MAC at one point in her life, but she's like, a boy at fashion fair. And it was just like the most, like, kind of everybody in the whispers started happening. Because at the time, there wasn't a lot of boys in makeup either. There was a few of us, but it wasn't like something where you see now where there's so many of
Yeah.
us. But back then, it
Yeah.
was just like you had the very few, and I was one of the very few. And I just remembered we were doing an activity and I learned shade matching from working for fashion fairs. So that was something that really kind of elevated me, I felt, because that was something I didn't have in my belt was working with deeper skin tones. So just having that moment. Then the next part of my story happened in the same shopping mall. So on my breaks, I would go next door, and right next door to the Rose was a JCPenney. So inside that JCPenney, because it was a corporate store, you walk
Okay.
inside, there was a Sephora inside JCPenney. So
Okay.
my dream was to always work at Sephora. But like Matt, it was very hard to get into. And so
Because they were probably
this,
limited too with how many people were working in that
mhm,
store, and they didn't really
mhm.
leave, so
and and
getting
that was
that
very common.
opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just remembered I was just walking in there and I was on my lunch break. And the girls were already used to me because they had seen me so often. I would go in there to shop like Kat Von D's makeup brand at the time. And one day I was on my break and I'm wearing all black. I have my little name tag. And I just remembered this lady walked up to me and was just like, "Hi, do you work here?" And I'm just like looking around. Oh shit, what do I do? And I'm just up. And then the girls were all busy. So I was just like, just do it. Yes, how can I help you? So just instantly the customer service just was like, okay, let's do it. Just help this
Yeah.
poor lady. She's like, hi, just FYI, just like I'm looking for, my Makeup Forever HD powder ran out and you don't have any in stock. Do you have anything as a substitute? And again, thanking God for like YouTube at the time, because I remember watching a video and people talking about the HD powder back then, just the white flashback they would get and like, here's some alternatives. And one that I remembered was the Bare Minerals, what was it at the time? I think it was called the Mineral Veil because it had silica in it. So I'm
Oh,
like, oh, this is the
yes.
exact same thing. So I confidently walked over to Bare Minerals. I'm like, yeah, this is the exact same thing, and I gave it to the lady. She was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You've been so helpful." And then she wandered off. And then I turn around and this woman is towering over me. This woman is like tall. She had to be like 6 foot. She was like
Well,
six
because 'cause you're
foot.
tall.
Yeah, I'm
So if
tall.
she's
So like for me to
towering
look
over
up, I'm like, oh
you.
God. I was like, oh God, who's
Yeah.
this? So again, I'm
Ew.
just like, hi. I'm like, she just looks at me and she's like, hi, you don't work for me, do you? And I'm like, no. And she was just like, "But do you want to though?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yes,
So
I do.
the woman who I met was actually the store manager for the support inside JCPenney at the time. Her name was Jennifer
No
Mar. Yeah,
way.
Jennifer Marsh. So she saw me and was just like, "Who's this kid who just helped this lady?" And so she's like, "Okay, go upstairs." Fill out an application and then I'll see you tomorrow if you're available. So like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I pretty much go back to work and I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't believe I'm getting out of here because working behind the counter was a struggle. At JCPenney, you'd only see it popping in there like on Tuesdays for senior discount days. Other than that, it was very slow and on the weekends. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, finally I get to go to Sephora and I get to learn some stuff. So
Yeah,
I
and
leave
it's brands and
different
and
brands
you're
exactly.
you're learning new things, new
Things.
brands, meeting new vendors, and
Yes. Yes.
the expansion continues.
The expansion continues. Yes, exactly. And then that happens. So we go into Sephora, JCPenney, and it's a different world because it's a little bit more structured differently than like a real Sephora
Okay.
where we didn't have vendors. What we had was a trainer. So we had somebody just come in that would train us on all the brands and then give us our gratis. So those were the most funnest times I will say for me because like I just remember my JCPenney days, my girls, that the group that because we're all in a little shoebox. So like we became very close. We would hang out with each
Yeah.
other after work and these girls were like the love of my life because I was it's the amount of knowledge that I knew about like black natural hair and like how to recommend products for new growth and like how to like do certain things was because of these girls. So they all went natural at the exact same time. So I knew about what was it, Carol's Daughter, Uncle Funky, something, and just like all these
Oh,
brands.
I love
And they were
Carol's
teaching,
Daughter.
yeah, yeah.
I
So they were
remember when
teaching
that
me.
took off. Yeah.
Yes, the Monoi line was my favorite. It was too much for my hair because my hair was really thin, but, like, I loved the way the Monoi smelled. That was, like, my favorite line. And, yeah, it just was that was the moment I was there, and then,
They
unfortunately
were like your work family,
they were.
these
Yeah,
women, you
these
because
women.
you're working and
Mhm.
you're there more than you are at home. I say
Yes.
this like almost every episode, but you feel like you live there and you get to know each other and look out for each other, especially if it's a good chemistry, good
Yeah,
group.
and we're a good group, like, oh my god, the amount of parties we would throw was hilarious. It was just we had a good time, we had a
Is
good
it
time.
in Sephora or out of?
This is outside support, yeah, like,
Okay.
inside Sephora, we were pretty ratchet, no matter lie, we were twerking and we were doing all kinds of things inside JCPenney.
Twerk.
We were it was
Wanna get
pretty
some
bad back then.
baggies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were bad, we were so bad, and then too, at the time, I was also
Sounds fun.
this also was the time too where I started doing drag myself, and I actually went a couple times in drag to work. And this was
I
also
love
kind of like
it.
a fun way to express myself. So, like, I remember
Yeah.
the girls would just beg me, like, "Martin, you never wear makeup, please. Like, just come to work in drag." Like, "Okay, fine." So, like, I did it. I did it on Valentine's Day, and then I did it some other random day. And I just remembered, like, our trainer was there the day I actually did it, and he was just like obsessed with me. He was just like, "Oh my god, you are so beautiful. You're so pretty." Like, oh my god. I mean, I need to show you some videos and pictures. But like, I just
Yes.
remember we all took a group photo on Valentine's Day, and it was something. And but that was fun.
But to
I said
have
that
that
was super.
support from them, to feel
Yes,
comfortable to put yourself out there
yes,
and be true to yourself and have everybody just love on you.
yeah,
I
and that's
I love that.
and that's something I love about this industry is we're so creative and we're so good to like encourage others like to express themselves in their artistry. That's
Yeah,
why I fell in love with the industry because you can really be who you truly are. And with the power of makeup, just you
absolutely.
give
And
you that
MAC
feeling.
taking off at that time
Yeah. Huge.
was, yeah, just huge, and it was such a great, just a kind of that start, empowering and seeing everybody being creative with makeup, man, woman, whoever,
Yep, yep,
however you
literally.
identify,
Yes.
and the industry just taking off.
100%, 100%. So I got transferred. I ended up going to a Sephora in Rice Village. I was there for a couple of years. And
Is
this
it
is
the
kind of
same
where,
Sephora that's there in Rice Village?
yeah,
Probably.
the
I'm
same
actually
one that
going there in
has,
a couple
that has,
days for
yeah.
freelancing, so
Are you? Oh my God. If you ever just want to like ask somebody about me, and she honestly, every time I see her, she makes me cry. Karen, who is in charge of skincare in the very back, she's a beautiful, like older lady that has like curly blonde hair, like really like up. She's like really, I love her. Karen actually saw me from like the very beginning to the very end, my journey at Sephora, and she was just like, I told her, she's like, Martin, I'm just so proud of you because a tragic thing happened around that time when I worked at Sephora. So, um,
yeah.
lost my mom around that time. So I was 23. I was 23. My mother had passed due to she was sick prior, like when after I
Yeah.
graduated, she was a little sick, and then she had a stroke, and it was in a coma. So like the hospital that she was at was actually like 10 minutes away from Rice. So like I would go see
Mhm.
her every day after work, and then when it came down to her passing, it was so hard for me to go to work every single day, and I was just like, "Okay, this is just too
Course.
much." Like, I would
Yeah,
have, like, my fits, and I would cry in the back, and then I would, like,
yeah,
kinda go to this little window area where we're, like, I guess animations would be in the window. I would kinda be behind the poster, like, have my moment, and then, like, put
yeah.
myself back
Or
together when
with
I get
the
back to work.
sucker punch of grief,
Yeah.
you just get those random
Mhm.
and wow, how so and also you being such a baby
Yeah.
at 23.
23, and it was
23.
and this is also, I think, where I think I had to change my mindset because I was kind of like I was still like I had to grow up. And I think for me, it was like, okay, you really now have to figure out what you want to do. Before that, I had met so many vendors. I had met Raphael, but Raphael was with NARS.
Okay.
He was a trainer for NARS, and he really inspired me. He talked about like how he did Fashion Week and how he worked for the Donatella Versace shows, and we're just like we had lunch together. And he just really inspired me. So I was like, okay, I want to be a freelancer now. So like I had to pick because I had gotten offers from like Laura Mercier, I had got offers from like Stila, and Sephora kind of gave me this ultimatum. I was like, okay, if you leave, you can't come back as a vendor for I think 3 months. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
you know, then I found to find out
Yeah.
that was actually not a real rule. That was a rule that the district manager made. Um,
Oh,
so
geez.
so yeah,
Great.
so
Thanks.
I
Yeah.
ended up
I'm going
leaving.
through grief and you're
Yeah,
giving me
exactly.
ultimatums.
Exactly, exactly. So I end up leaving. I couldn't work for NARS at the time just because he didn't have the availability. And then I picked up Stila. So I worked for Stila for like a small period of time. I was
Okay.
in Ulta. And then I picked up Butter London. So this is kind of where Nordstrom kind of saw me because I was going to Nordstrom's for Butter London. So I was painting nails. So again, adding more to my repertoire of
Oh,
beauty.
incredible nail polish.
Incredible.
Better
Oh my God.
London.
Mum's the word. To this day, it will be forever my favorite nail polish. And now I just remembered what I was looking for. The other day, I was sitting in bed and I was thinking about this. I was just like, huh, I wonder if they still sell it. And I had like a senior moment and totally forgot about it. I was like, what the hell was I looking for? And then now I'm like,
I
okay, I'm
do
going to go
that
to
a lot.
Amazon. I'm going to go to Amazon now and find out if they still make Butter London. But yeah, Mum's the word.
Do they still have it?
I would think so because I do know the founder separated from the brand because
Okay.
she did something completely different inside Walgreens. But like I just remember like Burlington was such a big thing back then. I remember it was in
Oh,
Nordstrom's
it was
because
literally so buttery. I mean, it was
oh
such
so good.
incredible polish. The pigment.
The pigment was amazing, and then too, like, it was hard to sell, not gonna lie, at Nordstrom, like,
Okay.
one day, just like a fun little story, I was so desperate for a sale, I literally got on my hands and knees and painted this woman's toes because I was desperate. I was genuinely desperate. I was like, "God, I need to
Hey,
make this
that's a
sale."
good selling tactic.
Hey,
That
and
was
she
smart.
and she spent $100. That's like 3 nail polishes, a treatment, and then something else, and I was like, "Okay, I made my day." Like, I made my day, I'm done. That was something funny. It's so funny because like people at the Nordstrom store remember me for that. I was like, "Hey, remember that day that you were literally on your knees painting this
You did
woman's
a pedicure?
toenails?" Yeah, I did a pedicure. It just like you were no gloves. You just did it. You're just like, I was like, I had to make a sale, guys. I had to make my sale.
Give me those toes, lady.
Yeah, literally, literally. So after that, I finally get with NARS, and then my journey with them starts. So like me and Tiffany met at Nordstrom because I was working for NARS at the time. So this is where our worlds collide. And she was working for
Yes.
Hourglass. She was working for Hourglass at the time. I was working for NARS, and we just became close from there. And then it just
Yeah,
kind
she
of
told me that's when you guys
yeah,
met
yeah.
and became
Mhm.
good friends.
Yeah, and we've been inseparable ever since, and it's so funny because we're literally, like we're the same sign, we're both Cancers, our birthdays are next to each other, so I'm the
'Cause
5th, she's the
I'm Cancer
6th.
too, Martin.
Yes, you were telling me you're the 3rd? Or you are
I'm July 10th.
okay, July 10th, yes. So, yeah, the Cancer family, I love it, I love it. Cancers, let me tell you something, Cancers, we are really mythical individuals, and then just add beauty to it, it's just it gives 10 times better, I will say that,
It
because
does. Yes, we're very, like, empathetic, and
yes.
we have this natural, um, I don't wanna say magnetism, but
Mhm. Yeah,
this
we do.
pull, and
People
then we, just need to go and recharge and then come back.
yes, yes. Every day, every day. Like, as soon as I get home from work, I de-stress, I sit there, I kind of just have my moments, and then restart the next day. Kind of continue with my journey, was with NARS for a little while, and then I got scouted for Natasha Denona. So I was with Natasha Denona for about a year. I was a pro artist with them. And
My
then
gosh, I love her. I
she's amazing. The fact that I got to meet her, her watch me, and then her tell me that I had talent was like a moment. I remember that day that it happened because we were there for the makeup show, and we had like this like one-on-one training with her when Metropolis came out, which was that palette she had that was like an anniversary palette. And I just remember
Wow.
we're all downstairs, we're doing makeup. There's actually my video is still on her Instagram where I'm actually doing a model and you can just see my hand. Cause it's funny that I didn't know that she had posted that. My best friend Priscilla, who worked with me at Nordstrom, called me and she was like, "Bitch, yes, what?" I'm like, "What?"
Bitch,
She's
look.
like, "What?" Look. And I'm like, and then she sent me this video and then I'm like, "Oh, that's my model. Oh, wait, that's my hand." And she's like, "I recognize those big, giant Wreck-It Ralph hands anywhere. That is you." And I'm like, started laughing. I'm like, "Oh God, yes, this is me." So like I'm doing makeup on this woman and I'm just like having the greatest time. And I remember when because it's funny because when I was doing the makeup for the model, I was in this very dark space. It was a dark corner and I didn't have any lighting. And I was color matching the girl, which one thing I will say, I was kind of made this little joke and I worked at
Yeah.
Sephora. I was like, I'm the walking color IQ. I can look at you and automatically tell you what you are. So I was really
Oh,
good at
you're
that.
one of those artists, huh?
Yes,
You're
I'm one
like,
of
"You're
those.
a sheet B20. I
Yes,
already know."
yes, yes, that is me. That is me to the T. So I was doing that, and Natasha was kind of like this light in front of me, and I started doing the makeup. At first, she was kind of like, I don't know about this one. And then she came around and she was like, "Wow, you're really talented." And in that moment, it sat with me because to meet somebody who, again, is established, who create a brand, who is an artist just like you, who is also very much, I don't do the business stuff. Like my husband does that. I'm the creator, that which is a dream for me. And just being able to, have my work in
Be
front
a
of
p
her
Yeah,
and
be
then
a
her
part of that and
just
have her see that
see
and
it.
then and just really acknowledge
Ledge.
all of this hard work you've been all
Yes.
these years
Years.
focusing on and learning. It would be so validating and empowering,
It
kind of a
was.
feel good, like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
it
I'm doing
was.
something right."
I'm doing something right. And I just remember that day. It was at the end of the night. I remember I would call somebody, and it was maybe my mom. And I think at that moment, I had that moment. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna call somebody." And mom, I wish mom was here so I can call. So I called my brother and I just started crying. I was just like, I'm just so happy. It's just like, this makes me feel like
Aw.
I'm finally doing a good job. And that's one thing about me is like, I've always am very much like, I don't think I'm not one to really boast myself. I'm very much kind of very secluded. I've always been. I'm very kind of quiet.
Yeah.
I think people see when they meet me, I'm very bubbly, but that's kind of like the work me. But the
Your
real me,
uniform, you put the
yeah,
uniform
before I'm
on and
on,
you do perform or
yeah,
host or highlight, caregive, sell all of these hats that you wear. And I mean, I can relate to that. And then when you take it off, you can be more introverted and
yeah,
quiet and shy, and
hmm
you could really be both. And I know how that feeling. I lost my mom 5 years ago, and it was a surprise, but she was somebody I would do that to. I would call, and
hmm
I still, to this day, I'm like, "Call mom.
yeah.
Damn it."
Damn it. Yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly how it is. Like, damn it, there's something great happened today. Someone who would cheerleader us and be like,
Yeah. Like,
"Great job, sweetie.
oh,
I'm so proud of you." And that's the thing is you yearn for that. And as I gotten older, I'm yearning for it more and more. And like even now, when I'm even in my corporate position, like when I left Natasha and Charlotte had stole me, that was where I definitely was like, okay, I did this all on my own. I worked during the craziest time. So I got this job in 2020 and then COVID hit. And then,
geez.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
the world changed. And
Yeah.
then,
Anytime you
thanks.
hear COVID hit, it's like,
Yeah.
"Ah,
Oh,
fuck."
yeah. You remember. Yeah. You remember like Jesus, the world was just like down and it was just one of those things. And then just to work for a brand where there was a lot of uncertainty, but like thankfully I worked for a brand that one was actually because of COVID, they actually got bigger because everybody was on TikTok, everybody was on it. This is where social media really came in
Oh,
handy.
yeah. Fragrance
Like, yep,
influencers, everything just
hmm
blew up.
build up.
Yep.
And to be a part of that was so crazy because I still this day, like I still kind of like remember, my time with Charlotte. And I was just like, wow, it felt like I had been with them for like 10 years, but it had only been like 6. But in those 6 years from like 2020 to 2026, it was just like a flash. Like everything
Went
happened so
by.
fast.
Like a
I
big explosion and
Shame.
everything happening and all the stores and all the trainings and go, go, go,
Mhm.
go, go, go.
Go, go, go. And it really is because I was just like going, I went from like being a coordinator, being promoted to being an executive, and then going the artistry route, which is a trainer, where I really kind of felt like, okay, this is me. This is who I really want to be, but also this is exactly where I need to be because training had always been a passion, educating had always been a passion of mine. And then just being able to touch so many individuals in the sense of just my reach to them because I was able to do
Yeah.
trend show. I was able to do store openings for Sephora, district trainings for Sephora, district trainings for Ulta, district trainings for Blue Mercury, just having so many people. And then still this day, people are like, I'm surprised you left. And I was just like, yeah, me too. There just comes a time where, and this is kind of where your podcast talks about. I think I was listening to the episode of, I think you and Phaedra and Tiff, they were just like burnout happens.
Yeah.
And it is real because you give, and give, and then
They
finally
want more.
they want more, and I'm just like, I can't give anymore.
You kind of
And
have to figure out what your boundary
is
is and
mhm,
what you need, especially depending on what's happening in your life and your soul journey. I can totally relate. I know that you being with that company for so long
mhm.
to have that, you must have had a moment that was kind of like an aha or a trigger, or did you know for some time
I knew
to
for
that this is kind of your change was coming?
I knew for some time, and because
Okay.
again, the job where I am now, it was one that just dropped into my hands, how Natasha did, how Charlotte did. It just kind of like appeared. And it was just one of those things where like, I wasn't looking for it. It just kind of like, it's an opportunity to start fresh. Like you are the beginning, you are the seed, and you plant it and then you grow. Do you want to start over? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do. I think it's like, midlife crisis moment here. Like, I had just turned 35, I'm getting 36. And I was like, I don't know what to
You're
do
a
anymore. I'm a
baby.
baby. I'm still a baby. But it's just like, I feel like an old soul because my parents were a lot more older. They were
Yeah,
boomers. So like my mentality is a little different. And I just remember I was
of
like, yeah,
course.
I feel like now I've achieved what I wanted. I hit the goal that I had set myself. That little boy that was at Ulta, I got to where he wanted to be. It took me 17 years, but here he is. He finally achieved the dream. What's the next chapter? So this is where the opportunity popped up. And it was funny because it was a coworker who also worked for Charlotte and was like, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I'm not gonna lie, for a couple of years I had been okay, I'm ready to go. Like I got to quit. Like this is just every
Yeah.
day I was just like, I'm gonna quit, I'm done. And that happens. Like, because the days
Yeah.
where like, you get off work, instead of you going in the house, you just sit in your car and you're just like ground yourself before
Oh
you get
my
in
god,
home.
I do that. I
Yes.
used
Yeah,
to do
you
that all
have
the
to. You
time.
have
You
to.
just sit in the car, it's so quiet
It
and peaceful, and you almost feel numb. Okay,
it
I'm
was
gonna get up in
happening.
just a few minutes.
Yeah, it was happening so much, and I was just like, "Yeah, I gotta make the change." So, I made the change, and again, I was so grateful for my bosses that I had because it was just I think I had worn so many hats, and I continued to wear those hats
Yeah.
even after I got promoted, and just the urgency to, like, give someone else my hat so I could pass it on was never taken. It was just like, "Oh, no, you're gonna just continue doing it." And for me, I
Mm,
was just like, "No, like, I'm tired.
yeah.
Like, I don't get paid enough for this too." So that was another thing. So when I took this opportunity, it couldn't have been the better change. I think it's because it's something new. It's something that's also viral at this time right now. It's a big popular brand,
Oh, I'm
and
so excited
yeah,
for you.
it's probably the biggest launch that Sephora has ever had um in their entire like last 20 years. So it's big.
Wow. I know, you might not wanna highlight it, but you can, I'm sure with your ins
I'll give you
or Okay. Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Huh. It's like the road that everybody wants to travel on.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, and it's again, how it happened was just one of those things. I interviewed like everybody else. It's kind of funny because when you interview, it's a hazing moment because you get like bombarded by like 5 executives all interviewing you at the same time. They're just like, "Oh god, this is hazing."
Like a
Okay.
panel?
Like a panel. Yeah, and I'm just like then you go up and then a lot of people again, and it's so funny because I kind of feel like everybody's like, "Damn, how can you get it again?" And I was just like, am I did everything you guys did. I think it's just like I am just someone they felt a little bit more was like, "Okay,
Okay,
you
well,
usually."
wait a minute here.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to stop you because,
yeah.
first off, you, with the way that you speak, the way that you educate, the way that you make people feel comfortable, and all of the things that you've done all the way up to this point, how proud you should be. And in that moment, yeah, this was for you, and you deserve it. You
So
absolutely deserve it.
thank you. I mean, it's so funny because I'm that person where just okay, and again, that's just how I've always been like that. I'm just like okay, and that's something my boss always said. Like you're good at your job, Martin. Like you
You're
really,
really good at
your
your job.
confidence needs to get built up again. And I think it was just so many years of like my confidence being knocked down a couple pegs, just like with
Yeah,
working in industry. I think that's what it was, and then just like finally like, now I'm so numb to it, like, when, people compliment you, you're just like, "Yeah, sure, ha, ha,"
I
like,
know.
things. That's
I
very much
know.
me because people compliment me all the time, I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, girl." I was like, "Oh, you look good." Like, "I know I look like shit today." And, like, and again, it's just habit, it's
I
just your habit,
know.
it
It's
just
our
and
own little
yeah,
dialogue that we have with ourselves and our just a lack of confidence, but that I guess the words that we say every day
mhm,
that discredits a lot of what we achieve. And also being in the industry for so long, like you said, you kind of learn and keep the things that were the negatives and forget all the positives and all the affirmations and the
yes,
validations and the client who they felt like you changed their life, or the associate or one of the trainers under you that you helped elevate to where they are. So, but we don't remember that. But I'll
yeah.
remember that, I didn't make my goal for that huge event.
100%. That is I don't remember all that, but I remember I fucked up 2 days ago, like, I remember that.
I remember I fucked up.
It's yep, yeah,
Yeah. But
that's
I didn't remember that actually a month ago I made the goal and we exceeded it. But,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh. Well, I mean, I don't want to sound cheesy, but I just want to say I know that whenever I meet people who know you, your kindness and leadership, these are just a few of the people that you've touched in their lives. So I am so thankful that you sat with me, and I
yeah.
definitely want you back. Maybe one of these
Alright,
days Tiffany and you could come back.
yeah, I honestly we would love to do like a Witchy Wednesday with you. I feel
Gosh,
yes.
I forget everything. I'm horrible at remembering. I study the tarot cards and I forget them all, but I have like 3 decks.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I would say it's like even me, like I luckily, I still occasionally use my training wheels. I'll have the ones that have the descriptions on them. But like it's when you read beyond them, that's kind of where you really do get like all the information. And
Your
yeah, and
intuition kind of
yeah,
kicks in.
yeah,
Uh, Please, yes, I want you and Tiffany so for all the people listening,
yes.
She Wednesdays is Martin Vane and Tiffany's podcast that they used
We
to do,
yes,
but
yes.
they are probably going to sooner than later start up again when they have some time.
Yeah, and that's something that we're definitely gonna work on again because we had fun when we did it. It was so
Yeah.
fun. So, like, that's something that we
Oh my
would love to do
gosh.
again, like,
I love that.
hopefully again soon. We would love to do something with the beauty space and kind of, like, add those both together and just, like, so hopefully one day we'll figure something out.
Follow your heart, whatever it's telling you, just play around with it. I've been doing this
Totally.
almost a year and I still feel like I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm just kind of winging it half the time. But when I talk to amazing people like yourself, then I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm doing something right because I want to highlight you and your artistry and all that you've achieved. And so anyway, but I thank you so much for being
Thank
with me on Sorry
you.
It's Discontinued, Martin. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Hilary, for having me. Have a good one.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Sorry It's Discontinued, the podcast that brings you the reality of retail and the people, brands, stores, and products we all love. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit follow, leave a review, or share it with a fellow retail warrior. You can always connect with me or support the show at sorryitsdiscontinued.com or buymeacoffee.com/sorrypodcast. Now, this podcast is independently produced and not sponsored by any brand, company, or organization. All views, opinions, and personal stories shared are their own and do not represent any retailer or brand mentioned. Brand names, product references, and service mentions are included for storytelling and commentary purposes only. But I thank you so much for sitting with me today. And remember, continue to shop in store, support your local stores and your local sales associates. You can even call them and order. It's amazing. And every visit helps keep these stores open so we can all continue enjoying real in-person retail therapy. And I'll see you next time. I appreciate you so much. Bye. Sorry. It's discontinued.